We have one more attendee coming in. And we should be good to go.
All right, let's wait for this person to come in.
They're in.
They're in, okay, all right. If the person that's phone number is 707-430-7850 can identify themselves?
Yeah, this is Leo with the Solana County Chamber.
Okay, hi, how are you?
Great, thank you.
All right, nice. So, Princess, thank you for agreeing to speak today to our Advocacy Council.
Of course.
Just to give you a little bit of information about advocacy, I'm going to read you our mission statement. And it's to assist the chamber in being a strong and strategic advocate for its members while strengthening the economic vitality of area businesses and enhancing the quality of life in the community. One of the goals is working collaboratively with government leaders to provide positive outcome for its members. So what we decided we would do today is allow you time to introduce yourself. I specifically asked maybe if you could let us know how you relate to small businesses or how they could relate to you. You know, that relatability factor is pretty important. And then there's some questions there for you. And you could just, you don't have to go in order, you know, freestyle it, but
Well, hi, as you guys know, my name is Princess Washington. I'm newly elected to Suisun City Council, which I think is an honor and privilege within itself. I really love Suisun. I think it's one of the best places to grow up or be raised or even live. I think we have an awesome environment to dwell. Not so good for businesses because we are heavily focused on bedroom community, you know, parks, raising your children, you know, playing outside, but business is severely lacking, which is our one downfall. Literally our one downfall is we don't have businesses. Like if I could fix that, we'll fix it,
that's,
you know, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think there was someone who was coming on, I think didn't mute fast enough.
Oh, it's okay. So how do I relate? Well, interestingly enough, I have a background in pharmacy. So I've studied pharmacy for quite some time. I'm a registered or licensed pharmacy tech in the state of California. And I studied herbalism for a number of years. I have a lot of women nurses and healers, and my roots, of course, are of the African diaspora. So we do a lot of natural holistic healing. And I actually had a business called Madame Monnier, and I would go to the Fairfield farmers market and I would sell my herbs to people. And I had a lot of fun. I did really well. I did like handmade soaps and lotions before it got like popping and really popular, you know? And it was fun. And this was pre-pandemic and I did really well. But once the pandemic hit, it really affected me. Some herbs did well, specifically the ones that treated, it was one herb that did really well. That was a derivative of hydrochloroquine, which was one of the first treatments for COVID because it was anti-fever. So that one herb did really well. But of course, unless you're able to, you know, tailor to a person and talk to them, it's really hard to sell them on, you know, what they don't know. Again, you know, American medicine is geared towards quick fixes like ibuprofen and things which are important, but you really need an understanding of what you're taking and you need to tailor it to a person's, you know, allergies, their medical history. So that's really hard to do online. And unfortunately, I really fell behind. And that was when I realized, wow, you know, business, number one, is very important and it can fail, especially if you don't have the right things in place for it. And a lot of that is reaching your audience, having the time to cater to them, having somewhere for them to come to you, right? So being a small business, I couldn't afford an overhead. It's out of the question. This is like a hobby of mine, a passion. So, you know, I was more of a niche, you know, marketing thing. So it ultimately is, as much as I love it, like I couldn't continue, you know, the pandemic raged on. I had to work double time, triple time. So with that in mind, I understand the hard work and what it takes to have a business. It is not a joke. You have to focus entirely and you put everything into it. Like, I mean, I went broke for this business, you know, but of course I was lucky because I had a career to fall back on. Other people don't. And that sting of the pandemic, you know, really affected people, especially small businesses, especially people I know who were just trying to make it. And with that in mind, and it's interesting because there is a correlation for Suisun City, right? There's not a lot of foot traffic. There's not really a place where you can go and open a business. We don't have a hub in that sense, right? And so I think I can bring that experience to small businesses and say, hey, I get it. What can we do to help you? Again, what we need in Suisun City is foot traffic. We are a commuter city. We go to sleep, we wake up, go to work, we leave, we come back and repeat. How can we break that tradition here? How can we make it easier for our residents and our consumers to reach the market, right? Or how can we help the market get to them? I think one of our biggest obstacles, sorry, Vacaville and Fairfield, but it's that we got these two big dogs around us with all the businesses. So we go to them, we don't stay here. And the businesses, they don't want to come here because they're already 2 miles away. So they look at us like they don't understand the complexities of the area. So a big business, if they're already open in Fairfield, why would they come to Suisun? Or a similar business, why would they come here? So because we're sandwiched in between these larger markets, we actually have a huge shortfall of what we're able to even bring, even on an interest level. And even if they were to come, we don't go there. So how do we bridge that gap, right? So my whole mission right now is to make it easier for our consumers. Again, Suisun, we don't have our own chamber of commerce. We're a part of Fairfield, which, it kind of grinds my gears a bit because I would like some independent, economic independence, no offense, Jared. But, how can we as Suisun City bolster our own community? I think one of the great initiatives that Jared put together is that online shop local initiative. Again, we did do well in the pandemic because of home shopping, because we were able to kind of keep that sales tax revenue. So how do we reinforce that? How do we get people to shop local from home? Because I think immediately that's the only thing that we can do until we're able to draw the larger businesses or draw an actual brick and mortar. So I really look forward to working with Jared to kind of really push that. We did just launch an app, finally, Suisun app. And I spoke with our developer on perhaps getting a list of all the businesses that we do have to offer within the app and make it more accessible that way. So how can we create a finite list of Suisun businesses that you can kind of, get your items from or get your services from? And from that list, see what do we lack? What should we be having here? How do we become more self-sufficient within our own city? Before I go to Fairfield, can I stop in Suisun first, right? So that's kind of like my whole mission right now. The other side of that, which is going to be a whole nother animal, is getting our downtown together. I do believe that Suisun City, originally it was a destination city. Redevelopment kind of fell through, which really hurt us. But if you look at the layout, we're made to, you come, you hang out, and then you leave, right? We're not really made that you're here every day. Like we'll roll out the red carpet for a few days and you bounce out, right? So luckily I studied theater at the Harbor. And my sole mission right now is to bring that Harbor Theater back. I'm fortunate to have connections with Theater Bay Area, who, I don't know if you guys are aware, but they're like the juggernauts of theater in the Bay Area. And they have, they basically any regional theater they're affiliated with, any major artist, any small artist. That's the hub where every artist goes to get grant writing, venue space, anything that you need, it's right there. So I was just a panelist with them, and I'm going to, sit down and talk to them about partnering, hopefully with the Harbor, to kind of become that streamline for the artists to come and we can have occupancy within that space. So that'll create a draw that we need, right? So if we have a draw within that Harbor Theater that's already established, that will create more foot traffic for our local businesses down there. And I have the fortune of knowing Ms. Debbie Rowe, who's the head of the BID. And she's already done a study back when our theater program collapsed in 2012, all the businesses collapsed, they kind of collapsed along around that area. So there's a direct correlation between the theater, what it offers, and how it affects local businesses. I also really want to work on our waterfront. We are a very underdeveloped waterfront. We should have, dinner boats, paddle boats, kayaking. We should be utilizing that space a whole lot more for ecotourism. We have the largest the largest freshwater marsh in the country. You can bird watch, you can paddle. There's so many things you can do around here that we're not really tapping into. So that's my other goal. And the other goal, of course, is our waterfront, having nice events there. It's so cute. We do a great job, 4th of July and Christmas, but that's only 2 events. And because of the financial restraints of the city, they're very limited on what they can offer. So we should be partnering with other commodities to come in and be a host for them and create that draw. So that's my main objective right now. And then also for our BID, there's, they did their annual report. And right now how they're zoned, they only have the waterfront is within their jurisdiction. We have a few small pocket areas that I would love to incorporate within the BID. Of course, the assessment fees will be different because the waterfront should command, more money and have more of a focus. But for example, our marina market has True Symmetry, a great brewery. We have a few little pocket restaurants. Look, Wag was awesome that just came. We have Every Little Thing Jamaican. We can do cute little block parties in there. There's events that we can do that we already have within our construct that we're not taking advantage of. And so that's kind of my goal is how can we use what we have to our advantage? And with that, I'm hoping that we can draw more in simultaneously, but we have to reinvigorate ourselves first, build it first, and then that will become a draw. And then the other side of that is we did just hire an economic developer, which is huge for us. Like Fairfield, I'm so jealous. They have like a whole team of people that, that help. And it's like, we have like one person, right? So really for us, it's about establishing who we are, what we want to do, and then going about how we're going to achieve that. And I think with this new council, especially me, Jenna Lee, and our wonderful Mayor Alma, we have that hunger and that drive, and that's what Suisun needed, is these people who will do that footwork. Because it's not just an everyday 2 week you come and sit on the council and that's it. Like, no, you got to do stuff in between. You got to meet with the chambers and, meet people. So I think that we're going to do that. And I think with that formula, we can be pretty successful.
Thank you for sharing all that. I really appreciate your background and, having your own business. That definitely relates to the chamber members, definitely. And great vision for the city overall. I'm going to open it up to questions. Monty, I'll give you the floor first. I know you have at least one.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Princess, and thank you for joining us. And I see you were appointed the vice mayor as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
As a freshman councilwoman, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, luckily, Miss Hernandez has kind of paved the way, so I'm not as frightened. I see what she was able to do in that role. I think I'm fortunate because I have great women before me that I can kind of look after and see that it's possible. But also don't overthink it. It's a title, but titles don't matter as much as your actions, right? So I'm greatly honored, but ultimately we got work to do. Like we got to get her done, So I'm happy that with that honor, you do kind of have more room to do more. But then there's more pressure. So we'll see, we'll see how it goes.
Well, I guess I have probably two questions for you. One of them, I didn't quite hear on the questions here that Susan said how the chamber could help support you as it relates to affecting small business. And then the other, the big concern of business here in the community, as well as Travis Air Force Base, is the project that Buzz Oaks is trying to present out there at the end of by the South Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you're aware of that. Hopefully you understand and what the importance of maintaining that space out there. And that's one of the things is business owners here, especially myself and others that have been around here a long time, that really depend on that base. We don't want to see anything happen that's going to cause the DOD to start to come down on Travis Air Force Base because their mission is being jeopardized because we've encroached on their base. I'm sure you're familiar with that project.
Yeah. So number one, my father's a veteran. A lot of men in my family have served, so I have a lot of respect. My fiance is on tour in Germany still. So with all due respect, I get it, right? Interestingly enough, they had a town hall And that project is just a nightmare already, right? It's a nightmare. And I said, can you do something else? Like, no, you know how they are. Oh, we put all this research in, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. The reality is we have a base that we have to protect. That's the bigger picture. I'm not in favor of cutting off our nose to spite our face. I don't believe that a project of this size, meaning how small it is in comparison to what the base is, I don't think it's worth it. I know that there are talks of, how they can go around it, but from my understanding now, and I have not sat down officially yet for this, so I'm speaking from the outsider who has, relations with people who work on Traft and on base in that sentiment, and also my questions from the city. They're trying to work it out. We'll see. But if push comes to shove, I'm never going to vote in favor of a benefit for Suisun, but it compromises the county or our base or our military or our country, right? It's not worth it. And that's kind of where I stand. I'm pretty cut and dry. I'm not gonna vote for that. Why? It doesn't make sense, especially for what they're proposing. So you're gonna build these buildings. Okay, who's gonna occupy them? There's no guarantee. So even what they're proposing to me is not worth it. I don't even like their project. I don't even like the logistics center, to be honest.
Well,
I don't like the way they're going about it. I don't like the way how, and they put Suisun in an awkward position because they announced a town hall before they even sat down with Suisun. So they were really pushy from the beginning. I sat down in the meeting and they were just insulting us from my perspective. They literally, in their presentation, oh, well, your roads are terrible. You need this money, so you need us. If we're so valuable, then you should want to help us despite your own interest. If you see the potential in our city, you should want to invest, not just for your benefit. So I kind of didn't like that. I thought it was shady, to be honest. I didn't like the temperament. I didn't like the sentiment of how they were coming. Like you were doing us a favor by being here. I don't, again, we're always looked down upon in Suisun City. I don't like that. I have a big chip on my shoulder from that, so I don't like it. I'm not in favor of the project so far. I highly doubt that will change, no matter how much they paint it up to be pretty and nice. Until the base allows it, and that's across all boards, I'm not going to go for it.
you guys should probably, your council should probably have a conversation with Chris Rico, the CEO for Small Economic.
I'm meeting with him next week.
He's really not pleased with the fact that this community is building so many logistics centers. And the fact that they don't generate well-paying or very many jobs, and they don't create a lot of tax base, but their trucks tear up the road. So,
Yeah.
That sounds like what that center potentially can be. And now, I'm not sure. What about the one that they're also trying to build?
Yeah, there's
Corner
two.
of Pennsylvania and 12. Is that too soon too, or is that county?
No, that one's Suisun. So they annexed the land and it became Suisun. So that's the first logistics center. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but that one I'm not really too worried about.
Yeah, that one seems
I'm more so worried about the other one. I mean, for me, I'm a big fan of mixed use. Can we get a mixed use property out of it? I think mixed use is how we should go about everything that we have. I don't want high density single housing. I don't want apartment. I want mixed use. We need tax revenue dollar. We need businesses, but also, people need to live somewhere, right? I'm a huge fan of rezoning things and creating mixed use opportunities. I'm a huge fan of even potentially rezoning the whole waterfront and redeveloping that. Again, that logistics center is a nightmare. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of compromising our base in any capacity. But this is my only ask, and this is what I do want to communicate to Travis. They don't patronize us enough. They need to start coming to Suisun City and help in supporting us in other ways, because that is costing us, potential revenue, right? I mean, let's just be realistic. We have to compromise our city stance, but I will love some support in the long term of coming to our restaurants, having your family stay at our hotels, coming to our waterfront events, just come and enjoy Suisun City a bit more, open up, you know. I was very impressed with David Gassaway, who was able to get a $15 million contract with the city of Fairfield to go and do maintenance for them. So Fairfield benefits from the base, right? Vacaville benefits because you have the land to build housing and things for them. Again, Suisun gets nothing from the deal, no offense to the base. We don't benefit the same way, but we're compromising, which is fine. I'm all for compromise. But the least that can be done, and this is my sole hope, is we create a better partnership and we kind of open the road for them to come and enjoy themselves. And speaking for someone who does have a fiance there and how difficult that world can be and how much they have, you know, I mean, that man devotes his whole life to the military. And I would love for them to come and escape to Suisun and have a good day where they don't have to worry, right? I want to provide that for them and I want to offer that as the good neighbor. So I hope we can create a better partnership where we can, you know, like our Veterans Day parade, I would love a larger presence for the base. Our special events, I would love to incorporate them. They're why we are able to be free and have a city. I greatly respect our heroes. How can we mutually benefit from this partnership? And so I'm hoping that with this new role, I can kind of bring that on more because, you know, it's an amazing network what they have there. You know, it's an international base. It's one of the largest residential bases in the country. There's a lot, you know, it's its own little city. How can we open up to where we can kind of work together more? You know, they're so insulated. How do we change that? And so that's something that I want to work towards too, especially since that project, I think it's just a nightmare, you know.
Francis, you have an opportunity to engage with the leadership of the base through TRAF.
Yeah.
And I mean, Susan is on the executive board there. They're always looking for speakers to speak at their luncheons. And a lot of them are held out at the base when the leadership is there and whatnot. And I know that I don't remember what I know you have Holiday Inn Express, and what's the other hotel? Hampton.
We have a Hampton.
Used to have a thing for the wives there all the time. I don't know if they still do or not, but I think Suisun leadership, whether it's the city manager or the mayor, yourself, somebody needs to engage more in those different opportunities.
For sure.
To give Suisun more exposure.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I'll chime in as well on that. Yes, I think that, thank you for bringing that up. TRAP is a great venue for your leadership to participate in monthly meetings. And I could definitely arrange if you and Alma want to come and speak at one of the TRAP meetings where base leadership is at. They come on, base leadership comes and present on what's going on in each of the three active wings they have at Travis, the CRW, the 60th Air Mobility Wing, and then the reserve side. And you guys can come out and present.
Oh, I love that. I would love that. You know, again, the Air Force is so important. What they do, what they devote. I would never compromise them for a building. It doesn't make sense to me.
And you do have a great opportunity to be for the city to be more involved with Travis just through, like Monty said, those hotels. The reserve side of the house at Travis struggles with having enough hotel space on the reserve weekends, to the point that they're having to send people out further from like Davis and Woodland, because there's just not enough hotel space that is provided at the government rate. So if you get those airmen to come on the weekend and stay in Suisun, they're going to eat in Suisun. They're going to start to know Suisun. So at any point you want to meet one-on-one with the—
I would love that.
I will set it up so that you can meet with the commander of the reserve side as well. Just to have a conversation how you can support each other.
Yeah, because and again, we're also building a third hotel. So there's going to be a lot of room for that. And that's the future trajectory, not to mention we're building a mixed use development that's going to have the live workspace and things. So we are going to start to have the capacity. 3 new restaurants are being built. And on top, it's going to be Airbnb style where they can be rented out. So again, there's room for that. And I think with the way how Suisun is, it will be an awesome place for them to stay. It's quiet, they can walk around, it's a great space. And for mental health reasons, it's very important that we offer that as well. Because what they do day in and day out is taxing. And I think it's very important that we offer that for them, where they can feel safe. They don't have to worry and look over their shoulder. That's huge, So yeah, I would love to have that conversation.
Susan, I had to step away for a minute. Someone came into the chamber. Did you offer her the ability to come to a TRAF meeting?
Track meeting,
Yeah.
at the one where the base leadership presents is probably be the best one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
you hit on exactly what I was thinking too, with regards to exposure and visibility through hotel exchange.
yeah, and then also meeting with the Colonel Merkel from the 349th Air Mobility Wing, the reserve side, to see how they can support each other. They're always looking for hotel space. It's critical. It's tough to have to send an airman who doesn't have a car, and we put him in a hotel in Dixon.
Mhm.
Monty, do you have any other questions or?
You let me think long enough, I might, but right now I don't. I'll let somebody else ask questions.
Okay, Princess, I'd say let's wrap this up before he changes his mind.
I do want to know that Darylyn's on.
Well, he's cool. I'll see you at the Salvation Army. You'll be like, hey, by the way. It's fine.
Darylyn,
Hey,
did
good
you
morning,
want-
good morning, team. I have a question if we still have time.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Princess. Thank you for being
Morning.
on. Appreciate it. I'm excited about the things that you've been talking about. First of all, let me digress for a minute. I'm Terrence Strong, part of the chamber. My question for you is just, what are your thoughts on transportation in Suisun? I hear that you talk about how you would like to promote, the things that are going on in Suisun and build Suisun, but the one thing that, and it's very passionate for me, is that, Suisun has made cuts in their transportation system. And we talk about growth, and you talk about bringing, folks to Suisun, but, they've cut the transportation, and, that's part of growing when you build housing and things of that nature as well. So, what's your view on the transportation and the needs for Suisun?
Well, I'm going to speak as a kid who grew up in Suisun, and you don't have a car, it's terrible. So again, bedroom community, people have money, everyone has a car, or so they think, right? So that's kind of makeup of the city. But it's terrible. I mean, number one, our buses, when we did have them, I think they stopped running at like 6 o'clock. What if you have a job? It's terrible. For my understanding, the partnership with the STA, we're doing a micro transit, which could be awesome. I think we have what it takes to really make that work because we are so small. They also have the Lyft program, but again, what if you don't have a phone? What if you don't have a smartphone? What if you don't know it exists? So there's not enough visibility in marketing and what's made available. And I think it's a travesty. Again, there's this assumption that people know. It should be in plain sight. Like when I was a kid, they would have the bus stop and the list was posted and it was very obvious. That's kind of lacking right now. I would really push for the STA to pay for the signage, to pay for how you can go about transportation once it's finalized. I also know that they have the Lyft program, but then there's no Lyft drivers because there's not enough business here. I really am in awe of the transportation more in the Bay Area. If you look at the big cities, their buses don't stop. They're regular. They have BART, they have the train. We only have Amtrak and no one takes Amtrak. The closest thing would be the ferry, and the ferry gets canceled. One thing that I'm going to talk with Chris Rico about, and this is in whole for Solano County, we have terrible transportation. There's no way to really get about from Solano County to your job that's in the Bay Area. I was one who had to commute and it takes 2 hours. That's very taxing on individuals. And this is why our markets suffer. They're too tired to go spend money. You want to go to sleep after working, right? How do we fix that? And also, even what's in place, there's a lot of obstacles. So I have to drive to the bus, then take the bus to BART, and then maybe walk or take the bus to work, then do it all over again. It's terribly inconvenient. So for me, I'm going to just drive, right? It's not good for the environment. It's not good for my pocket. It's not good for the transportation already in place. I'm really in favor of a collaborative effort with the major places where people work, like Kaiser, Genentech, all these major corporations. There should be a way where there is a sort of a program that kind of gives you initiative, and they have a micro transit system. Like when I worked at UCSF, they had a bus that would pick us up from BART and took us to work. I think that should be done on a larger scale. And if we can't attack it from the business angle, we should do it from within the STA to make it easier for people. But again, I have to, and I'm still new, so I don't know what they have in place yet. I have to see what they have and what they already have. But I'm a huge advocate for making it easy for people who can't afford these things, who maybe are in a wheelchair, who maybe don't have a phone. What about people who are just got released from the jail? How do they get out of here, right? There's no widespread marketing or even visibility for that. And I find that extremely odd. I find it odd that, from my understanding, a lot of this work has been done, and like, where is it? So before I can even speak on how I can improve it, I have to see what's going on first. And the fact that it's not terribly obvious to me is a red alarm. But I think we have a lot of work to do. I think we rely heavily on our automobiles, but everyone doesn't have a car. Everything is not accessible. And again, you're right, they're cutting the buses off, and they're doing the micro transit. And even for our students here who have to go to high school, we don't even have a bus for them. It takes them an hour and a half to get to school and back. Like, it's just to the point where it's ridiculous. And I think we're too small for it to lack the way it does. I'm hoping that I have to be there, but it may be that because STA is here now, they're dictating what happens, and that's not how it should be. Suisun has to be the one to dictate what the residents need, and STA conform to that. I'm a big component of that, because the only ones who suffer are our residences, are the ones who need it the most. Paratransit, I think, is an amazing tool. The idea of paratransit can kind of overlap with other needs. So you have this little bus that you can call, and it takes you wherever. And when I looked at the map, it only takes you the bus system that they have in place now for the closed circuit only takes you to like the hospital and the grocery store. But people have other things they got to do. It's very limiting, from my understanding, the map that they have in place. So how do we incorporate the needs of the public against what's already in place? Who's advocating for the people who don't have? And that's the ones who need it the most. And those are the ones who are overlooked. And again, that's working class people. Working class are the ones who suffer the most, because they don't get the advocacy of the people who don't have anything, or the people who don't need it, right? So I'm in huge favor of, all I can say is I will advocate to make it easier, because I know how that is. I know people who don't have a car, and it's terrible. It's really hard to get around without transportation, and we don't have jobs locally. So you have to kind of commute, you have to get out of town to work, but how are you going to get to and from work, So it's this weird conundrum. But before I can really speak on it, I got to really look at it. But from what I'm seeing, I'm not really a huge fan of it.
Well, Princess, I would like to share with you that you have more partners than just the STA. Sorry, Terrence, I'm going to kind of mention this. So you also have access to MB Transit, and they could be someone that could potentially collaborate with you as well to try to identify loopholes or holes in the transit pocket that they might be able to help you with. Also, I mean, to your point, I don't know if you were aware or not, but Suisun City specifically has the most number of vehicles per household resident than any other city in Solano County. Yeah, so kind of an interesting little bit of information, but that goes to your point. It's because there is no other way to get around with the exception of by vehicle. So there definitely does need to be some sort of improvement.
We're terribly isolated. I mean,
Yeah,
we're terribly isolated. So
So Terrence, did you have anything else? Or if not, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with Kathy. Kathy had her hand up.
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Terrence.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Princess, by the way, thank you and congratulations to you. We appreciate this time. I just wanted to share, as the Child Care Resource and Referral Agency, we spent probably many years ago, we sat down with STA to talk about the need for transportation. And just as you described for students, a parent who does not have a car trying to get their child to childcare in a neighborhood and then try to get back to a bus in a timely manner when they only run once the hour has really created a problem for people. And so definitely in the small business world, we have about 30 licensed family childcare providers in Suisun right now. We have 3 centers, but again, for families who are low income, trying to get from the bus to childcare and then back out to a bus, really not possible. And these are all small business owners who absolutely would love to shop in the town they live in, would love to be able to have the services right available to them. So we'd be happy to talk with you if you have questions about that area of small business, mostly run by women and women of color in our community. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do to support all the small businesses as well as the whole infrastructure in Suisun.
Yeah. We're kind of behind on the times. I mean, that's just the reality. Again, we're so insulated and we're in our little bubble. And we kind of really need to become more, we need to compete more with the outside world, and we're not doing that. And that car statistic is so funny. I am not surprised. You drive down the street, it's just a row of cars. Like, we can't even get our street sweepers done because it's just cars everywhere. But it's a necessity. Like, it's just, we're so out the way. You got the highway, then the freeway. It's just, you have to have a car. And that's the downside, is that it's the have and the have nots. And because the majority have, who's speaking for those who don't? And because the majority have, it's not a necessity, right? And so the other ones go unnoticed, but that's terribly detrimental. Again, to our working class, our women, our children are suffering behind that. There should be no obstacles. There should be a limitation on obstacles to do daily necessities like go to work, go to school, shop, right? That's the backbone of society. And I find that really sad. Like, I'm coming in here and I'm realizing how much wasn't done by my predecessors. And I'm like, gee whiz, man, we got a lot of catching up to do. And it's insane. And I think the public doesn't realize, like, I didn't realize that. You don't think about it. But how do we make this an awareness issue? How do we educate people? How do we draw them in? Like, I think a lot of this has to be grassroots. I think the more people know, the more they'll get involved. And then once they become involved, that's how you bring about the change. But until we vocalize it, it's going to continue to be unmet. And so my whole thing is transparency. And I'm really big on letting people know what's going on so we can help each other. So I'm definitely all ears on how I can help people. So please let me know.
Kathy, did you have anything more to ask?
No, thank you though. I
Oh,
appreciate
no
it.
problem. All right, Monty, you are on.
You went long enough here.
60 seconds or less, Monty.
Well, after listening to Terrence and about transportation, as well as Princess talking about, getting more businesses into Suisun, getting more people into Suisun, one of the things that Suisun has that really none of the other cities in this county have is a small highway splitting it in half, which can be a great thing because you got a lot of outside people driving through every day. And I'm one of those people and have been for years. So I think what Suisun needs to do is to work with SBA, work with Caltrans, because I know you guys don't own that highway and you don't own that land next to it. It's the most uninviting looking stretch from Marina Center to Walmart that you can see anywhere. And people driving through there going, wow, what is this? Between weeds, tore down fences, ripped up fences, homeless people, it's a bad image that's being projected to a ton of people that don't even live around here, let alone the people that live here. So again, and SBA's got a beautiful office right there in downtown Suisun. I would think they wouldn't want the entrance to their office to look much better too. So I think they would be motivated to motivate Caltrans to spend some money to make that stretch beautify it.
That already happened. So a few months ago, we got the approval for the entirety of Highway 12 to be beautified through grants with Caltrans. STA is not involved in that, but it's a partnership between Caltrans and the city. So, you know, Caltrans being Caltrans, they wanted to only do a certain, I think it was like a quarter mile. And again, people involvement, grassroots, we fought and we had our voices heard. So now it's going to elongate all the way to Walters Road. So the entirety of Highway 12 is going to be have fencing, have those really pretty flowers. Like, we're working on it because it is a huge issue. And again, we don't own it. And so the traffic creates a lot of issues that we don't have control over. And that's always been a huge issue with council and with residents is the complaining of that. So we did get them to grant us that, and it will extend. Maintenance, I think, does fall on us as well as Caltrans. But when I saw the first renderings, they are quite striking, but of course we have to maintain it. We are working on a median plan as well that the Public Works is working on. And then again, you know, we did pass our public art policy 2 years ago that I was instrumental in bringing to the table. And I'm a firm believer in using that money to beautify our city in functional and aesthetic ways. But the good win, yes, we are fixing that. Highway 12 is atrocious. And then how do we build upon that? How do we maintain it? You know, we are at a disadvantage because we have a skeleton crew. We only have 6 full-time public works individuals. That's nothing. Yeah, literally. We have 12 employees that work for public works. So that's why I'm hoping for greater partnership, you know, with already existing organizations, or, you know, how do we get volunteers, or how do we work, you know, people who need to do public service? How do we partner to get more work involved to keep our city going, you know?
Do they have, what is it, here in Fairfield, I know, and we have one here in our area here on Cabin Road. There's a fee that taxes that we're paying to maintain the islands and landscaping, all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
let me tell you about that nightmare. So we have our L&Ds. So long story short, we have our L&Ds, but the fees that they pay are outdated and they don't cover the maintenance cost. And when you factor in inflation over the years, it doesn't add up, and people are very hesitant to pay more. And there's a huge disconnect between what they think they're paying for and what they're getting. And I had this talk with my own dad, you know, because my dad lives in Suisun. He's like, they don't take care of it. I said, Dad, you don't pay him enough to take care of it, and you don't want to pay more. So how do we find a middle ground?
Right.
And so
Well,
that
a lot of the stuff here in Fairfield is done by outside contractors,
yeah, Fairfield has money. We
but
don't have,
it's paid by these fees that we pay, you know, to keep it up.
you know, again, we're at a terrible disadvantage because we don't have money here.
Well, I would like to say for the record that Fairfield is dealing with their own issues when it comes to landscaping and having to revisit contracts because they're not
Behind too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not the only city. They're all struggling. Yes, I think Fairfield may be more equipped to pivot and adjust. But
Yeah, sure.
I want to put that out there that you're not the only one that's dealing with this right now.
Yeah, but us, I think, because so, you know, we're only 4 square miles, right? It's very noticeable. And we're on such a small scale that, you know, if maintenance isn't done the week, you can just visibly, it's just atrocious. And they can't keep up with the schedule that they have now, you know, and luckily this cycle budget, Public Works has the largest budget. So we are gearing towards meeting those needs and in contracting out to get a lot done, which is what, like, literally Public Works should be the focal point, because we need to beautify our city, to invite businesses, to make it possible to create revenue, right? So I'm very grateful for our city manager because he's wonderful in that sense. He gets it. So we are making the strides to make things move a little faster. But again, it's not as instant as I would like. And it's not as easy as it sounds. But it's getting there. And God bless Public Works, man. They work hard, those people, you know. But how do we help them? And I think the best way, and it all gears back to, we need more sales tax revenue here. I think we make 1/3 per capita of any other city in the state. Like, it's ridiculous. 60% of our sales tax revenue is property tax. We rely heavily on property tax. We need to really compensate. And I don't think we'll ever have enough business to fully pay for ourselves, but we can at least start that process to help ease it. We do have a few businesses coming in. We have another wellness, marijuana place coming. They have a good neighbor meeting Saturday. We have the Tractor Supply coming in. The Stizzy that was open, I think they bring in over $1 million a year. So, we're making great strides. We broke ground on a 120 unit apartment building. Cameron's property is almost finished. They just signed the paperwork for the commercial. We're gonna have an Italian restaurant. We did sell those 3 vacant lots in Suisun. It's gonna be mixed use. So again, we're heading in the right direction, but everything is slow. What can we do in the meantime? And one thing that I do want you guys' help on, and I'm really big on this, they focus so much on the lots and what we don't have. We have a lot of existing businesses and buildings that are vacant. How do we fill these vacant buildings that are for sale through third party? We have huge retail space, and it's just vacant for the past couple of years. Why is it vacant? Whose job is it to get it filled? Because the person who owns it, they're in New York, and it's a tax write-off for them. They don't care if it gets filled, but it's an eyesore for us. So I'm really hoping to partner with the chamber and businesses to try to get these vacancies filled, to really eliminate the blight that we have going on.
Thank you, Princess. To kind of keep us on time, we've got a little less than 10 minutes. I want to go ahead and give Darylyn the floor since she had her hand up.
Thank you, Jared, and good morning. Thank you for presenting to us this morning. Monty touched on a word that's a hot spot for many business owners in Suisun, and that is homelessness. And you served up my question perfectly. You didn't even know it. There are homeless individuals living in your vacant storefronts.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plan for city council to clean those up so that they look attractive and the businesses that are there don't have to wade through?
Yeah, Suisun is at a disadvantage because we don't have the empty beds to where we can put them anywhere, right? So there's that law where you can't move them if you don't have anywhere to put them. Luckily, Solano County does have the JPA, and it does look promising. There are a lot of things already in place to at least provide the spaces and resources needed for individuals who are seeking the help. But again, it's hard to force a person to accept help. I think the only way that we can truly address the conundrum at hand is by filling the vacant spaces. Benicia had a great ordinance where if the business was empty, they would put like an artist in place, right, to kind of occupy it and beautify it. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of putting something there, maybe like a pop-up shop that people can use in the meantime. But this is just me speaking. From my, I don't know what the city has for this. My understanding is there's not much we can do because our hands are tied due to legalities, but I know that's not sufficient enough. I know that we are in talks of opening up a local shelter, which I'm a huge favor of. They need a place to go. You can't move a person without putting them somewhere. And so those are already in the works, but it's really difficult to force that and if a person is there and they don't want to move and they don't want the help and we don't have a bed to put them in, we cannot legally move them. And this is an issue that is not just in Suisun City, but is everywhere. The disadvantage that we have is that we don't even have a shelter within our own city boundaries. And so we are reliant upon, Fairfield and county and things. But again, there's not much we can do other than displacing them with businesses and building and development. I'm hoping that with the progress of the JPA, that will really alleviate a lot of what's going on. I think that Suisun City should vouch more for funding because we are a transient city, because we have the train station, we have, you know, some things within our access that does make us more vulnerable to that. But again, I mean, homelessness is something that is just rampant everywhere. I'm hoping we can work around it, but it's terribly difficult to do so within legal bounds. But again, I'm hoping that we can put together a program in place where we can invite pop-up shops, invite temporary storefronts to come through. It's already sitting there empty anyway. Maybe put some art installations in. I'm a huge advocate for the artists having space to create art. And if it's vacant and if it's safe for them to do so, I think that's a great fix, at least temporarily. But you know, we're so small. Most downtowns, they have a buffer between residencies and downtown. We're so small that it's literally people's backyard where the homeless are, right? And that's become a huge issue for them, and it's terrifying for them. But our hands are tied, and I don't think there's an immediate fix. I think that we kind of have to seek the process and put things in place to make it easier to alleviate it. And that's going to take a lot of brainstorming on our part. And that's going to take, you know, people like me or Alma or whoever's in the capacity to really partner with the businesses and partner with the owners of the property to see how we can create a happy medium. And I think that, again, the more traffic that we have going on, it'll help alleviate that from happening, right? So like when we have special events, there's signage put out where they have to move. Like that's just kind of that thing. So that's a nice way to kind of go around it, is if we create more activity, that will help alleviate some of that as well.
Great, thank you, Princess. All right, guys, we have 3 minutes left. Does anybody have a quick question, or are we going to give ourselves an additional 3 minutes back for today? All right, wonderful. Susan, did you want to go ahead and close?
Yeah, I just want to thank Princess. Thank you so much and congratulations. We definitely look forward to working with you and leaning on us, as you know, we'll try to do what we can, do our part as well.
Yes, please. I need all the help I can get. Like I'm so big on collaboration and helping. Like I don't like to talk. I just want to get stuff done. You know what I mean? I would love help with, I know we have a beautiful waterfront. We have so many obstacles. Like how do we surpass that? And I think once that's done, it's going to help the entire county. It's going to help everyone. So as much as it's going to help Suisun, it's going to help the entire county, all of the chambers, because that's going to enhance the environment for all of us. You know, I believe in the weakest link. So we have a weakest link, then no one wins, you know? So yeah, I'm grateful for the assistance. I really am.
Well, Princess, I think you have, and I'm speaking for everybody here, but I think for the team that showed up for this advocacy council meeting today, you definitely have advocates all about. They would love to see Suisun be successful and really turn and make a pivot. So you can always count on us as a resource.
Thank you. It means a lot. We need it.
All
right. Well, with that being said, Susan, are we good to cut this off?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.